أشهد أن محمد رسول الله أشهد أن محمد رسول الله حي على الصلاة حي على الصلاة حي على الفلاح حي على الفلاح.
And people say wrongly he wasn't for civil rights. That's a misnomer. That's not true. He said civil rights wasn't sufficient. You couldn't just fight for civil rights. You had to expand that and also fight for the human rights of a people.
That's right.
But he didn't deny civil rights means simply the rights that's dealing with your municipalities that you find yourself in, that we run away from. Some of us in the same crowd say, I ain't gonna vote. Well, if you live in America, the way this thing works, voting is a part of how the thing works. You want to take control of your community? If you got a gun and you got the heart and you want to go and try it like that, I'll come to your funeral. You're not going to take this right away from that white man with a gun unless you build an army from destiny, put the time into that time that's an army, and then feel them knowing what they're doing. So we got to use the technology we have. And so Malcolm didn't just start talking about voting after he left the nation. I just want to give it a couple of myths, right? If you remember the Freedom Now Party, Malcolm was in the Nation of Islam. Him and Elijah got in an argument over Malcolm supporting the Freedom Now Party. He was always about local politics, seizing power at the local level. Somebody asked him, Brother Minister Malcolm, what do you mean by black nationalism? He said, take control of the economics, the politics, and the culture where you live. Now, what are the methodologies available for you to do that? Whatever those methodologies are, you use them.
By any means.
You know? I have no objection to you joining the army, learning how to shoot a gun instead of shooting up our women and children in the street pretending you know how to shoot a gun. Go and join the army, get trained, come out and become the policeman. I've never seen such insanity where black men are sitting around saying, let the Klan be the policeman so I can march against him once he killed my son. That's insanity. I think some of you heard the piece I put out long before the brother took the action to kill this white policeman for his son. I told our brothers and sisters almost 8-9 years ago when they shot that child in the back, go home, make your peace with your family, get your wife and the children in order, go find the person that killed your son and kill them. Now some people have a problem with that. I don't have no problem with that. If you can get justice some other way, get justice the other way. But if you can't continue to accept the status quo. But the reason we have the status quo is because we're not dealing on fundamental reality. Malcolm X says, you must control the economics. You must control the politics. You must control the culture where you live. That means you got to take over the school board. When I used to go to school board meetings, I'd be the only black male there. When I'd go to the PTA meeting, I'm the only black male there for years. That's insanity. Then you're crying about what happens to your children at the end of the day when these other things get a hold of them. Okay? If there's a city council, you should be the city council. Well, come tell me, I ain't got nothing to do with the Democratic Party. Take over the Democratic Party because you haven't produced a party of your own. So take the one that's there. The other little backwards, blind person that's taken it, and you say you're the conscious, enlightened political person, and you can't take over city council where you are? Then you're not listening to his teachings. Don't make up a Malcolm for yourself. Read his speeches. He gave you instructions on what to do. Do the instructions. That's all we come out here for, to tell Malcolm, we cool about the way you did what you did, you know. And the other thing is, and this is a myth, that he changed, he went to Mecca and he changed. That's a myth of white people. And then we bought that myth. Malcolm didn't learn about Mecca in 1964. Malcolm learned about Mecca when he first joined the nation. Nobody argues with the Filipinos behaving like Filipinos who happen to also be Muslims. And nobody argues with the Pakistanis behaving like Pakistanis who happen to also be Muslims. So we got such a great argument with black folks when we become Muslims, but we don't want to forget our race or our culture. What is wrong with us? In 1957, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad went to Mecca. The man who opened the way for him was Al-Hajj Malik al-Shibaz Malcolm X while he was still Malcolm X. He went to Egypt. He went to other parts of Africa. He went to Turkey. And he opened the way for the minister in 57. So why then would somebody think in 64 Mecca is a new phenomenon for him? Listen to what the man is saying to you. And I'm not making this up about the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, because I have my differences with him. You know, the greatest one is the fact that that brother is laying there.
That's right.
But we know the CIA and the FBI and NYPD and the New York City gangster families aided in the killing of Malcolm X, some of the main orchestrators of the killing of Malcolm X. We understand that, unless you're too afraid to understand who your enemy really is. Okay? So I just want to make some things really clear. When I went to Mecca, that was 74. Yeah, I went to Mecca. I'm Muslim, still am Muslim. You can't really not be, if you understand what Muslim is and translate from Arabic into English, I'm a believer in the oneness of God. You know, just a believer in the oneness of God. And the first name they showed me of the African American Hajj was Elijah Muhammad, and then Hajj Malik al-Shibaz. I've seen this with my own eyes at the Rabat Alim al-Islami. But it's no big deal. The messenger had a real problem. He wasn't against what we call Orthodox Islam. That's another myth. That's what there's a myth erasing today. That's another myth. What he said was that we're trying to bring our people out from under the culture of white Christian spiritual dominance, and I'm not going to put them under the culture of Arab Islamic dominance. We're going to practice Islam, but we're not Arabs. And I wouldn't ask any person who's Arab to be an African American, because he's not an African American. He's Arab culturally and historically. And that's what the man was saying. These are the things we need to understand, really, if we're going to really be honest about Malcolm. This is about food, clothing, shelter, safety, and security. If you're fighting for something else, please inform me. We should be fighting to make sure that we can provide food for our family, clothing for our family, safety for our family, security for our community. And Malcolm told us the way to do that is take control of the economic, politics, and culture where you live. And we're not doing that. We scoff at a December 12th when they hit the streets, instead of hitting the streets with them. You know? I see Brother James Dr. McIntosh here, who have hit the streets many times. We didn't join him. He's been fighting Netflix, how long, about a year now you've been dealing with this project? We don't even understand how propaganda is used to murder your consciousness and the consciousness of your children. And how people can defame the character of the race using movies and theater. Malcolm talked to us about that. He told us that that media was one of the most powerful weapons the enemy had. Please read Malcolm X's speeches. He's not a mystery. He left us more tapes and speeches than anyone we know on his ideas and thoughts. So if you really love him, try to do what he said do. Try to be what he said be. Because everyone out here, we're gonna inherit 6 feet of the same earth like he did. So we got a short window to do things so that them little babies there don't find themselves in the same situation we found ourselves in. That's all this is about. He ain't no mystery man. He ain't no miracle worker. He ain't no
Messiah.
Something to search. No, don't say that, because you don't know what the Messiah is. Messiah, he is a Messiah, but any one of us can be a Messiah. All the Messiah represents someone who brings the ideas that came in the beginning from the divine. When you become a reincarnation of those ideas, birth has been given to you, and you use those ideas to free your people. That's a Messiah. That's what we should all be doing.
All right.
But we don't want to be worshiping men.
Right.
Is the point I'm making, because I see a lot of that happening.
Yeah.
And people ain't doing the things the brother talked about.
That's right.
I see people talk about Malcolm, but won't fight in any political struggle. won't join any resistance movement, then how are you going to talk about this man? He's dead because he resisted. So that's the point. That's why we're here. Even I talk too much sometimes. But my job is to make sure you understand why we're here. Those young men you see from the Sons of Africa, we don't wear no uniform or decal or anything to identify ourselves. So you ain't supposed to know how many of us are here or which one of us is one of us. That's the point. But when you hear them speak, they're the only one that's authorized to tell you what to do. So please listen to them and give respect to the word. So I just see incoming Bubba and Fadishi. So at this point, we want to have a short libation, not a long libation, because if you start going too long, we'll come and take your glass of water. Short libation, first from Baba Ifa Kunle from the Yoruba community.
Yay, Baba.
One of my strong teachers. And a lot of people don't understand when Malcolm came back from Mecca, there was not a large Orthodox community in America. So he didn't have a lot of allies. And at that time, the white Arab communities had pretty much slammed the doors of their mosques in our faces. Y'all understand what I'm saying?
Yes.
Now that has changed today, and we can forget yesterday. But what went on yesterday was that reality. But there was two communities that came and supported Malcolm. And you hear him in his speech, he talk about a man called Gus Denizulu.
Right.
He's talking about Nana Operi Denizulu of the Akan community.
That's right.
Right. That was his strong supporter. He's talking about Baba Surgeman, who built the Yoruba village in South Carolina. That was his support. When others were afraid to support him. When even some of the Orthodox community was saying, well, he come from the Nation of Islam, so he can't really be an Orthodox Muslim. Who is he? Yeah, these are the things I was around. I'll be 80 in a few months. So I was here to hear the words. Right? We didn't accept this man when he came back home and say, I'm going to take a different course on Islam, because some of the things I was practicing in Islam did not fit what the instructions was in the Quran. You know, then white people started interpreting him to us. Oh, he went to Mecca, he come back, he loved white people. He never said nothing but I love no white people coming back from Mecca. You know, or he changed his philosophy. What he changed was, I'm going to get better. I'm going to learn from new information. I'm going to transform myself into a better human being because I got better information from my transformation. I'm going to practice Islam in a way that I've learned is practiced by millions and millions and millions of people, including millions and millions and tens of millions of Africans. 40% of your families who came here on the slave ship came here as Muslims. And I know we don't talk about that much because this is a predominant Christian country. But we forgot who we were 500 years ago. We weren't who we are today. But this thing, Malcolm knew these things though, because the man studied. He loved history. He knew history would erase the mystery. Okay? And so you need to study him and erase the mystery. You know, learn from what he did. Let him be the model of some of the way we transform ourselves. So the brother's going to pour a libation. Now to my Muslim brothers, he ain't committing no sin up here. All right. I know you brothers do that. There's a young man I do want to introduce, even though he'll get a couple of minutes in a minute, but his father was the founding imam of the Mosque of Islamic Brotherhood. I think the last time I might have seen him, he had to be a baby. And so it's the son of Hajj Imam Tawfiq, and he's here with us. But I'm first he's going to clean the microphone. Then Imam, Baba.
Not whiskey, but the love of life, and that use of life, which is a part of living things and things that we are focused on. A real story has to be given, and it will be given, hopefully, by serious people. Professor Smalls is taking his chance to offer himself up and impact on so many others. His children, his grandchildren are here.
Yes.
Let's have an explosive thank you to the small family.
Yes. All the warriors. His contribution
God
was
knows
not small,
what
it was
might
great.
have happened if he had not had
Okay.
the skills of handling circumstance and situations, Professor Smalls. We have, my wife and I, my Queen Mother Rosalind, we have chairs of this nature downstairs in our study room. But that's the twin, that's one of them. And there is two, and there's one that we will expose also. Brother Smalls was so intimate with Malcolm's sister. She was so powerful and controlling.
Ella, yeah.
Sister Ella, yeah. Let's hear that again.
Ella.
Sister Ella, yeah. She was a beautiful sister
Yes.
who did not let the men stamp on her. And she mobilized and helped mobilize the women to be a part of their own destiny. And so Professor Smalls has had an enormous experience, not only in terms of this beautiful day that we have today.
Put the mic more towards your mouth.
Now,
That's
most people are saying that I do too much talking. Dr. Jeffries, is there any way you could cut it out and cut it off and get it out of the way? So once I get a chance to get a mic, you need to stop me. See how my wife is ready? She said, no. She might start kicking on the side. However, anyone from Harlem, Rosalind Jeffries, who could hang with us in the struggle for so many years, who never allowed herself to be trampled over,
That's right.
and organized the women and the children if necessary. So let's give her an acknowledgement, a real acknowledgement. And there's one other individual who is a part of the family. He's developed segments of it. Brother Smalls has been a miracle, but he ain't the only person here coming at this event. But there have been others. There's one who's a standing giant, and we need to have him have his hand raised to the success of the activities he's done. And I'm talking about Dr. Matt. I'm talking about, there he is. You have to come, brother, and at least acknowledge Sigmatas. Oh, okay, good. So that we have to give thanks to be together like this. This is not normal. This is African. Hanging together, and not hanging from a tree. We're talking about hanging together, and not hanging just with yourself and your partner for life, but with the babies that can come and experience the process that you offer for.
Hotel.
Everybody is not